welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer, owner of Citrusandwillow Skincare and Citrusandwillow Advanced Aesthetics courses. Today we are back with another ESTY Check-In, and I have Angelica Rios here from Couture Brows in Boise, and I'm so excited for you to be on the channel today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your journey from there to here, how you got here.
Yeah, so like she said, I'm Angelica. I am originally from Boise, Idaho, and I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah when I was 21, I believe. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was going to school at the University of Utah, and I was going to school full-time and working part-time as a medical assistant. I was on the track to doing health society and policy, so it's a major in social and behavioral sciences, as well as a minor in psychology. Mm-hmm. And eventually it just got too crazy going like full-time on campus and running back and forth between work and school, and I really needed to focus on school. I actually wanted to get into the medical field. Mm-hmm. My plan was to do like PA school or mm-hmm. medical school, and so I was just like, I need to focus on school, but I still need to find a way to make money. And previous to that, I was doing makeup for quinceañeras and weddings in my hometown in Burley. Mm-hmm. I would just drive down and do like weekend parties and stuff like that and make some extra money that way. So makeup always kind of came naturally to me. Like by nature, I'm artistic. Mm-hmm. And so when I heard about, microblading and permanent makeup, I just started doing some research like on Instagram, looking for places in Utah that's certified for permanent makeup. And I found a program. It was a short program, 5 days, and there was no requirements as far as licensing went because, like I said, I was in the medical field. I didn't have an aesthetics license or a cosmetology license mm-hmm. to work off of. Mm-hmm. But it was permanent makeup, and I was like, I can do permanent makeup. I do it non-permanently, and I'm good with shapes and structure and drawing. So I decided to pursue it. I had $2,500 in my account. That's how much the training costed. And I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go all in. Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And at the time, I was kind of worried that it would distract me from my studies. I was like, what if, because again, I'm creative by nature, even though I like to be pushed in a different way. Like I like to do things that could impact the world more, yeah, right? But at the same time, like my creative side was like, this would be so much fun. I could run with it and do my own thing and make my own business. And I was kind of just, I remember telling my husband, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's just gonna take me a whole different direction mm-hmm. that I shouldn't go. Because once I start something, then I just kind of all in, it snowballs from there. But either way, I did it. And it was my last year in college, and I decided that I was going to quit my job. I'd learned the class, and since I already did makeup, a lot of my clients for makeup were just like, I'm in, I'll like let you do my brows right away. So I remember my first day doing brows, I had 6 new clients, and my second day I had 6. I did 12 in one weekend. Oh my God. They were just back to back.
You were just like so excited.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I had promoted it beforehand, and all my makeup girls were like, I know you'll do so good. It was so new. That was what was worked on my favor, is that it was just a newer thing. Mm-hmm. And I already had people who trusted me as far as like services went. Mm-hmm. So I was able to make like half of my money back in one weekend for the class. Oh my God. And then the next weekend, same thing, and I paid it off in about a month or so. And then from there, it was just, I profited, and I just eventually just quit my job doing medical assisting. I was mm-hmm. making more money doing eyebrows, mm-hmm. and my work progressed quickly as well. I spent a lot of time on doing the brows and got better at it as I went, so I was able to bump up my pricing fairly quickly and just start paying off my debts, mm-hmm. going to school. Mm-hmm. So once I graduated from school, Sandy at Couture Brows in Salt Lake City, she was like, I want you to help me train. Mm-hmm. And I was already helping her like assist in her in her classes just kind of monthly in Utah. And she wanted me to help her train like farther. Like mm-hmm. she had contracts in Vegas and Los Angeles. And at that time I graduated, and I was like, I'm supposed to be, studying for a test so I can move on to the next part in my medical. But she's like, no, just join me. You're so good. Like, just come with me. I'm teaching big classes now, and I need like a second instructor. So I was like, okay, you're gonna have to pay me good money to do that. And she was like, I will make it worth your time. And I was able to, you know, travel with her. She treated me so well. She made it worth my time. She paid for my travel. She did everything for me. And then eventually I just got enough, I've saved enough money and built enough experience to where I felt comfortable opening a Couture Brows, essentially franchising a location. So then Sandy and I went half and half, and you know, we both went half on a space, and we had a lot of girls from my hometown reaching out in Twin Falls saying, like, are you guys going to train here sometime? I want to, you know, learn, but they didn't want to travel. So we're like, yeah, let's just do something temporary there, kind of like a pop-up was kind of our idea. And it ended up being there for a year and a half. And then at that time, I decided that it was time to just do something a little bit bigger and go to a bigger city. So then I came to Boise and moved the location here. But originally, I did live here at one point. So it was kind of nice to move back home and have, you know, my family here as well. I have a sister that lives close by, and a lot of family in town here that has supported us. And it was just something new. Just having like a fully dedicated permanent makeup training center here. I remember my dad saying, why don't you bring in hair and all this other stuff. I'm like, that's not what we are.
That's not what we are.
Yeah, like we're just doing permanent makeup and we want to focus on that. And I've been able to, you know, grow my services. I took additional trainings. I learned ombre brows and powder brows by Brow Daddy and Brows by Lenny. I took a training out in Beverly Hills, and then I took a training as well for tiny tattoos by Janelle.
Which is adorable. I didn't even know that existed till today.
Yeah, they're just fine line tattoos. And I learned that at High Five Inc. in Southern Utah. So yeah, I've been able to, you know, add on, continue learning, continue educating. So
that is so amazing. Wow, your journey has taken you pretty far, but it's awesome you have that medical background too.
Yeah.
Because with microblading, combo brows, ombre brows, it's all about being sterile because you're cutting into the skin.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely learned from that medical background, just, you know, a lot about like the skin, healing, the body in general, and just learning how to treat clients, people, patients, and that kind of thing. So it definitely has helped. But so I've incorporated a lot of the medical stuff that I have learned into my trainings. So there, although I'm not an esthetician, I still have a good background, and I still provide like an in-depth course as far as like physiology goes.
Oh yeah. So you offer courses for people to have hands-on training. For what kind of courses do you offer?
So our main course here, and our original, what we started with, is microblading. So that is our specialty, you could say. It's a 5-day training, and we've also incorporated now ombre and powder brows. I would say it's half and half now with those two. That's our main trainings that we offer here, but they tie hand in hand really well. At the beginning, you know, ombre brows weren't so popular. They weren't a huge thing yet. I think they had a bad connotation from old tattoos.
Yes.
Yeah, so then people were like, okay, no, we're ditching the tattoo. But then eventually learned how to use a tattoo machine correctly to where we can, you know, deposit and it still look light and natural. So we definitely, you know, they tie hand in hand in that not everyone's a great candidate for microblading. But everyone can have machine work done. You know, like if you have old permanent makeup, you can cover it up with machine work. Or if you don't have any brow hair, then you know, that machine work is gonna just stay on better and just kind of look better over time. So so that class is 5 days. You can choose to learn just one technique, or you can learn both techniques. If you decide to learn both techniques, it's just longer days. So typically our microblading class runs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then our machine work portion runs from like 4 to 6 each day. So it is typically a Tuesday to a Saturday class, but it's just go. So if you feel like you learn at a slower pace or something like that, I usually recommend people to split up the training so that they're not, you know, so overwhelmed with two different things. So usually I would recommend that. But we also have lip blushing. I offer a 3-day course for that. And I offer lash-line enhancement. That's a 1-day training. We also offer, I have a licensed esthetician that comes in and she teaches eyelashes. That's a 3-day training as well. So it's classic, hybrid, and volume. So those are our main courses, and these are all fundamental courses, meaning that you don't have to have any previous experience, or even if you do, it's still not so basic to where you're feeling like, oh, I didn't learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
I still try to introduce, some advanced stuff to where people know that there's growth in it and they have to, continue to reach for more.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely set them up completely fundamentally and then searching for more afterwards so that they know that there's still growth beyond the, fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, having a basic hands-on fundamental course for microblading or anything to do with tattooing is super important.
Yeah.
Well, in the state of Idaho, you do not have to be an esthetician. I don't. Each state probably varies to do this type of work. It's just more about you have to get a bloodborne pathogen certification, or is that required or not?
So technically it's not required, but it's highly recommended, because it's not regulated here. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing at the same time. For, people who are skilled, but don't have time to go to, full-time school, get licensed and stuff, but they're willing to put in the education on their own and just, even though there's no requirements, still going above that and making sure, that's the way that we keep the industry, I guess, not regulated as much, because, if there are a lot of mistakes being made or, diseases going around, then that's where it's going to put a halt on everything. So we definitely hold everyone to a higher standard,
for sure.
Not just for those reasons, but just for the safety of everybody and making sure that you are safe yourself as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the bloodborne pathogen is really important.
Yeah.
After they take your courses, so you had mentioned they can rent a booth from you, which I thought was so amazing.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to worry about finding a space. Everything's so expensive right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And you offer mentoring. So tell me a little bit about the, after they take the course, what are they gonna get from you if they need any help after?
Yeah, so here at Couture Brows, we have 4 stations and a pop-up station, we like to call it. So if we need a 5th, we'll pop it up. And I don't lease those stations out to anybody. They're used during the weeks that we have trainings here, but then after that they stay open and available for any of our students who've taken our classes. We offer a daily booth rental option here. So once you've taken our training, you get 60 days of free booth rental if you take microblading and ombré. So it's essentially 30 days per course kind of thing. It's just a way, and by free booth rental, I mean the girls are able to just come in here, take clients anytime they want. We have a lockbox code on the door. We issue, give them the lockbox code and they can come in, pick their own hours. There's a scheduling system where they just will reserve the bed for the day and they just come in as they please. Everyone's kind of, does their own thing. Right. So the main point of the booth rental essentially is that, when I first took my training, I didn't have anywhere to go right away. And Sandy was nice enough to just say, hey, pop into my space, just start taking clients. Because the thing is, when something's hands-on, when you're doing hands-on work, and really when you learn anything new, you have to start right away, right? You can't just oh, I'll start in 2 months, 3 months, because then you start to forget it. You kind of lose that confidence. And it's really important for people to jump in right away. And so I just, wanted to provide a space to where they can just come in immediately the next day after. I know, the classes can be pricey, and sometimes you have to make that money back as quickly as possible is the goal. So I also don't want the girls, to not be able to recuperate the money as quickly as possible. So they can just come in here. I have supplies here, and they can drop a supply fee if they wanted to use supplies here. Otherwise, we send them a supply list. They can bring all their own stuff. So it's just a great opportunity for them to, just jump in right away and get on their feet. And then since it's not anything long-term, then here they can kind of fill it out and see if they're going to, get their own space, if they have enough clientele, or if they just want to keep it a side thing. After the 60 days, they can just pay $35 a day and only pay the days that they work. Some girls only come in every Saturday. I've been here for a long time. Yeah, and sometimes it gets lonely. They all leave me and get their own spaces.
I know,
but
it's quiet
and they rotate back.
Here,
yeah, definitely.
That's so great. I actually really love that. That mentoring is so important. But you mentioned the class pricing, and my belief on that, you guys, is education is important. If you were going to college, you'd be paying a lot more anyway.
And 60,000.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had some friends who graduated. They had 80,000. I was like, OMG.
Yeah,
right?
it's so expensive.
It's so expensive. But if you have a passion for, you really do help people. Yeah. Because you help people feel beautiful, look beautiful. And I understand with oncology aesthetics, especially, if you don't have brows, then brows make the face.
Yeah, definitely. They're everything. They definitely frame the face. They're just
it's your purpose.
Yeah.
giving them a little bit of confidence, right?
Yeah.
You have so much experience and you have an amazing setup here. How about you tell us like what you offer with those trainings?
Yeah, so every training is going to receive their kit. The kit includes, everything that they need to start as far as like their pigments goes, their machine if they're doing machine work, microblading pens if they're doing microblading. It has like all the numbing products. We also give them a cute scrub top and a manual that they can always refer back to. Yeah. I made the manuals myself. I constantly update the manuals. The industry's ever changing, and so is learning. And I try to stay up to date, learning things so that I can update things. And I offer free refresher classes. So like, let's say that you take a training and you don't feel super comfortable right away. You can come back right away the next month if you want to, retake the training. There's no additional cost. Just bring your supplies back with you. If you need to purchase more supplies, you can. But let's say it's been years down the road, or I've had girls come like a year after and be like, you know what, it's been so long. I've kind of, drifted away from it, but I want to come back and I know things have changed. So I want to know essentially what's new. So, right now, in our kits, we include our Tina Davies pigments. So I do like
Tina Davies.
Yeah, they're a really great pigment. Excuse me, they're a hybrid pigment, meaning like they're inorganic and organic. Inorganic and organic. That's what I said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that means that they're a blend, and essentially they're half very permanent, half semi-permanent. So they're very stable. They work well. They're good. I like to call it a beginner ink in a way, in that it does provide results. It stays well, but also it has a great fading factor, in that when you're first starting off, your work's not always going to be the best work. Yeah. Even though it's not always particularly bad, you still want it to fade out, and eventually as your work progresses,
mine, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Some of them come back to haunt me years later. I'm like, I didn't do that.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
You might have the wrong draw.
So I'm kind of glad that when I first started, I was using way semi-permanent ink, which is like lead pigments. Those are completely inorganic inks, but they do leave a little bit of residual. So they're leaving. I've seen a lot of the red. Have you seen like the red brow?
I've seen the red.
Yeah, and so that's kind of a residual from that. It's a little bit harder to correct now, but we have some good advanced color correcting inks now. So Brow Daddy just came out with a set that has an like a bright reddish orangey color, as well as a yellow color and a green color, and the green is meant to neutralize those reds. So I've been kind of dipping into the green now. It's my first time kind of working with green, but it's been necessary. I definitely think that there's a gap in the market for it, and he's filled it well. But so yeah, once my students have gone through that initial set of their Tina Davies, I always say, if you go through a full set, that means typically you have enough experience, right, to where you've gone through enough of your product to where I think it's time to bump up to something a little bit more permanent. And although Brow Daddy inks are also hybrid, and we don't know, formulas or specifics just because it's not something that, that they promote or something, but it's a little bit more permanent. So if the girls are ready to kind of jump to that next level, that's kind of what I recommend for the next level.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and color correction is a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
So, especially if you have older clients coming in and they want to get a new one. And I will try to go over it, but if it needs color corrected, then you've got to learn color theory. But I'm sure you offer color theory. That's a must.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We teach like the fundamental color theory, but also colors can get, tricky and advanced, especially when it comes to laying them in the skin and doing cover-ups. So I do offer an advanced training to where it focuses way more on cover-ups. Rather than bringing in a model with fresh skin, you bring in a model that has previous work. So I can show you how to cover that up. Essentially, we work with, different needle diameters on different skin types and stuff like that. So it's definitely, there's more levels to it, and at first too much information can be overwhelming, right? Because people wonder, why don't I get all this information in one course? It's like, it can make you tab out. It's just too much to learn at one time to where you're like, maybe I can't do this. So it's like, just start where you can, and that will limit you to a certain clientele, which is fine. But once you're ready for the growth, then that will open up, doors to more clientele. But it's definitely, you have to evaluate your clients and make sure that you aren't doing cover-ups that are out of your reach, right? Because even when you learn the advanced stuff, you're like, oh, I can do any cover-up, which is not true. Like, I always say, like, don't add to the mess.
Right.
Like, if it's already bad and you really can't completely cover it up and make it better, then they need to get it removed.
Absolutely.
I feel like laser tattoo removal seems so far-fetched for brows for whatever reason. Maybe because it's on the face, but it's actually like, it seems really quick. I've never had it done, but we work with Treasure Valley Tattoo Removal here on Overland, and we like to send our clients when they have like really dark work, and they charge about $100 per session. It's usually like 1 or 2 sessions. And then, you know, the healing time's 4 to 6 weeks or so, and then they can, boom, brand new set of brows. You know, you don't have to do so much corrective work, and you don't always know what that result's gonna look like. So
right. It can be a little scary once you get those like taken off, but
some people are like, I'm not gonna have anything. Like, well, just go like hibernate at home, stay in a couple days, and then until your scabs fall off, then you can put makeup on until you can get an appointment as soon as possible.
So with tattoo removal, you mentioned lasers. How is there a way for you to remove tattoos?
So actually there is an option, and it's called Saline tattoo lightning. I mean, it is a removal process, but it's a long process most of the time. It's very variable, I would say. Like, there's no like, oh, 1 or 2 sessions works. It's like, it could be anywhere from 1 to like depends. 12.
And it probably depends on the color, right?
Well, not so much the color, but really like the depth that it's implanted, and how many layers they have. So the way that saline removal works is through osmosis. So it's just a highly concentrated saline solution that you deposit into the skin, and it'll regulate, and as it pulls up to the surface, it'll bring some of the pigment particles with it. So essentially you have to deposit it with a machine, or you can even do like a hand tool, just essentially prick it into the skin, and as low as it seeps, that's where it's going to start pulling from. So if somebody has really, really deep, dark work, you don't want to, you know, go that deep and try to reach it, and, you know, potentially cause more scarring and stuff like that. So that's where lasers, it's beneficial because they, you know, go into deeper layers without causing so much trauma to the skin. But if somebody has more superficial work, and you can reach it, and it actually lightens very well. Essentially, you're depositing a saline solution rather than pigment, and you're just masking it. It's a fairly easy process. But yeah, I just, you know, have my clients send me a picture, see if it's something that I can do. If it looks, there's certain indicators that would tell you that the pigment looks too deep, like if they have bluish hues or tints, grayish looks.
Greens.
Yeah,
that's why those are so hard to remove.
Yeah, just because they're so deep into the skin. So usually that's where I would be like, okay, no, I can't reach that. Or if it's superficial, then we can try. So the laser place, they'll sometimes refer saline solution or saline clients to us, just because there's certain colors. That's where more like a color thing comes in that won't remove with laser. They'll actually just shift. They'll turn like neon, you know, yellow or really bright red or orange. So some people don't plan on getting a cover up after a removal. So they just kind of are like, I just want these to be gone, and I'll just do like the saline as many times as I need to until it's lightened up. So. Okay,
well, that is interesting. So with the tattooing, do you normally do the big tattoos or just smaller tattoos with the saline? And does it hurt?
So I actually only do brow removal.
Okay, only brows. Okay, I see. Okay.
That's what I use it for. Lift Solution, which is a solution that I use for that. It's sold by Lee Pigments. They have like some examples where they've done it like an eyeliner or some lips as well, but I haven't needed to do that so far. So I've only done it for brows, and it's been mostly successful, unless again I had like a poor candidate that I did. At this point, I've learned enough about saline and just realizing which ones just it's not going to work for it.
Right.
So yeah, but like I said, deposit that with a machine, and it is a tattoo machine that we use. I use the Mass Tour right now. It's a wireless Mass Tour. We used to have a wire machine, but then you'd have to, you know, do this number with the cord and all the proper wrappings and stuff. So wireless, I'm pretty sure, you know, everyone's using wireless.
Way of the future.
Yeah, definitely. The nice thing about the Mass Tour versus like the standard permanent makeup pen is that it has more speed settings, so you can, you know, bump it slower or higher if you need to. It's just universal, meaning you can use it for tattoos, permanent makeup, any of those things. You can change the needles. They use universal needles, meaning that like you can get into tattoo needles like shaders and
that's awesome.
Yeah, tons of different brands. So yeah, definitely I would recommend working with a universal machine. Even though the permanent makeup tattoo machines are great, they're gonna limit you more as far as like cartridges go, and like the use of speeds. Yeah.
So would you recommend that for a new
artist?
Yeah,
I definitely would.
Do you have any others that you would recommend?
They came out with a Y22 masked machine as well. It's a Dragon Hawk, I believe, is like the brand that makes them.
Okay,
yeah, it's called the Y22. That one seems nice. It's a little bit thinner than the Mass Tour. So it's a little bit more weightless.
Okay.
That one might be nicer because it is kind of different to transition from something so light to like a heavier machine if you've already started on something lighter, and you can kind of feel the weight. It does get a little bit more tiring. So that one seems nice as well, but everyone kind of has their preferences as far as like usage goes. The Y22 has these tiny little buttons that I'm not a huge fan of. I have big fingers or big or big nails, but I'm like trying to like just bump the little buttons. There's three of them right next to each other, and it kind of messes with my flow. So I'm like, I like the one big button, and so it's really just kind of like user usage. But as long as you're using a universal cartridge machine, then you're gonna get the benefits of being able to have more ink in your needle as you're working, not have to dip as often, just kind of like a smoother application essentially.
Okay, that's nice. So you guys, although you do not have to be an esthetician to do microblading or do combo brows, brow tattooing, and become a brow artist, I loved putting it on as a service for my oncology clients, and it's been a benefit to my business. So I want to ask you, like, what piece of advice would you give someone who is an esthetician who wants to add this to their services, or anyone actually who wants to even add this as a new career?
I would definitely recommend making sure that you feel the passion behind it, meaning you really are going to be able to commit and be fully invested, because it is an investment and we want you to have your return on your investment, right? But if you're kind of like, iffy, you don't know yet, I think you should wait till a point until you feel like you're ready to commit and that you're, focusing on your business and that you're seeing it as an investment that you're committed to. So I think some people come in just kind of like don't know what direction they're headed. It kind of feels like I'm not sure, and that's where it can take a longer for you to recuperate because you just don't have plans set in place. So definitely trying to plan ahead a little bit.
You have to be passionate about it.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely do, because it's it can be scary, right? Like just especially if you've never done services, meeting new people and doing something permanent on the face and stuff. But you have to come in confident and just aware, ready to learn. Sometimes I get some sleepy girls in the class, and I'm just like, wake up.
You need to know this.
You need to know this. I promise. It can get wordy and stuff. Like obviously, like there's a lot of fundamental learning here, but it's all super important. And just afterward, going back to your manual, rereading that, reaching out to me, asking me questions, starting to submerge yourself into the community by getting on forums or following pages that inspire you or that offer good tips and stuff like that. So definitely just jumping all the way in if you can, and be at that point where you have the time to do that.
Well, I 100% agree with that. With extra education, make sure you're following Facebook groups, anything that can give you questions answered. A lot of questions can be answered. I also love that you give that extra mentorship. Like you're never not going to be able to answer their questions.
No, definitely not. It's kind of nice because some of the girls come back here, don't just pick up a couple products that, we saw our blades here and like pencils and stuff. So every time they come in to buy something, but also with a set of questions. Like, hey, will you look at this picture? Will you do, give me some advice on this, or can I just watch you for a second while you work? So that's definitely always available. I'm, friendly to the girls. They feel comfortable with me. Nothing's a stupid question. I've heard it all. I've heard it 100 times.
I never think they're stupid questions.
Definitely not. So they'll even shoot me a text message, Instagram, whatever. I can tell a lot just from a picture. Like if you send me a picture of your brows and they're looking like this, I'm like, you went too deep. You're not holding your blade, perpendicular to the skin. There's a lot of things that you can pick up just from a photo. So
for sure. I mean, I have that same thing, but that took training. Hands-on, lots of education,
and a lot of mistakes, right? Like I'm like, I've seen that, I did that, I know what you did
exactly.
to get that. So there's definitely mistakes that are going to be made, but you can't avoid that.
Well, I just love that you are such a great mentor. That really brings back into our aesthetics community and into the community in general. You're offering something great here.
I think it's really great, too, that I have a lot of girls who, even though they don't come in as estheticians or licensed professionals, they seek that afterward, right? Once they're in it, it's like, oh my gosh, I love it. Like, this is what I wanted all along.
Right.
And so it's a good, middle point where people decide, I am going to go fully into this industry, or they're just going to be like, you know what, it's not for me. I don't really like offering services or interacting a lot with people, and they just kind of check out at that point. So, they didn't have to invest their entire time and money, and like a ton of more money, I guess I should say, into taking, a full aesthetics program and dropping out because realizing at that point it's not for them. So here in 5 days they figure it out, and then from that point, I've seen a lot of my students have gotten licensed after having it done. So it's a good first step.
What would you say the ratio of licensed estheticians to non-licensed estheticians come in and take this brow training?
I would say definitely half. We try to keep our classes small. I typically only offer up to 5 students in a training. So usually around 4, and then if somebody like absolutely has to take it this month, then we'll do 5. But for the most part, I would say 2 are and 2 aren't. A lot of times I get a Cosmo, an ESTY, and then 2 who are just, not part of the beauty industry yet, but are interested in it.
So lash extensions is also another unregulated field that someone can go into. You offer courses for that as well, and if they're lash extensions artists, would it be a great add-on for them to have as a brow artist?
So you would think, like that they tie in hand well, which they do because they're, both beauty, but a lot of girls who have previously done lashing, they eventually just kind of switch to brows instead. I think like when you're lashing, you have such a high demand to making sure they come back every 2 weeks, and you're obligated to, be there for them. And some people don't, they feel kind of stressed out about that. And they're like, you know what, I just want to do brows because I see them once, twice, and then not again for a while, and I can get a new clientele flow more often than kind of sticking with the same. So for the most part, I see people transition rather than do both. Or I see people do one or the other, like, oh, I can't cut into the skin. I don't like doing that. So then lashes are like, you can remove lashes. There's like a safety net there. And it's not so much like, it's not as scary to like mess up, I guess. So I feel like they kind of stay separate.
And you offer courses for that as well?
Yeah, so I don't do the training for the lashes. I have a girl that comes from Oregon, and she teaches a lash class for us, but she does a really great job. She's really passionate. She's an esthetician, so she's really passionate about, proper application and isolation and, all the skin stuff. So I've, learned some, picked some up, but there's just, the permanent makeup industry is so deep. There's so much to learn that I feel like lashing is its own,
it's its own kind of worm.
And it goes long too, right? Like
rabbit hole.
So I'm like, I just want to focus on just permanent makeup and focus my expertise on that.
And that is how you become
a lash into a lash expert.
Yes, exactly.
So then most of those students are unlicensed as far as lash extensions go, and then like I said, a lot of them I've seen transition to going into aesthetic school after that, offering facials with their lashing and that kind of stuff. So I have seen a good transition from that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, how often do you offer these courses for anybody who's interested?
So our permanent makeup courses we offer typically monthly. There are a couple courses like our advanced ombré class and beginner ombré that we do every other month, so every 2 months. And then our lash extensions class is usually about every 6 weeks or so.
Okay. Oh, that's a lot of classes. So. Yeah. So if someone's interested, how do they get a hold of you?
So the best way would be to email us, DM us on Instagram. As soon as you message us, we'll send you an information packet.
Okay.
The classes are 5 days, so you kind of have to plan for it, know what to expect and stuff. So we'll send an info packet that has all the information that you need, times, location, what to expect kind of thing. And then after that, then they would just need to place their deposit, and then we do have options for payment plans as well. So I know it's hard coming out of school sometimes if you don't have your loan or other extra funds coming out of school, and you still want to jump into permanent makeup right away. We offer a payment plan option either through PayPal, like a PayPal Afterpay kind of thing, or we also have an in-house option as well. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you give a shout out to your handles? What are those for everyone?
So our Instagram is at Couture Brows, at couture.brows.id. I'm like, do I even know my own handle?
Trust me, I know. Sometimes
and our website is www.couturebrowsidaho.com.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much for being on the channel today.
Yeah.
I can't
Thanks
thank you
for
enough for
coming
this.
in.
Yeah, this is such a great field for you guys to check into. As an esthetician, I love doing it personally, and it is rewarding. You are giving people the confidence. They feel beautiful when they have nice brows.
Right, and then it's just like laying ink in the skin. There's so many ways to lay it, right? Like if you're like, oh, I don't like the brows because brows are hard to draw. Oh, you know, you can do liner. Oh, you can do lips. Or you can just do tattoos if you're more just artistic rather than, you know, like the face. So it's a good, you know, industry to where you can select where you want to be. It's not like limited to just eyebrows or just one service.
Yeah, and eyebrows hands-on, again, I can't recommend that enough because of people's different brow shapes, different hair directions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Measuring the brows. I took so many extra trainings on that.
Yeah, so, you know, it is a hands-on service, so it's hard to teach something online for something that's hands-on. So, you know, one thing about online trainings is that I feel like they're, you know, supposed to target more people who are already certified, previously certified, have a good fundamental, you know, have the experience and just kind of want to add on to their skill and learn more. It's definitely not a fundamental training, you know, which it's just super important. Once you're going to, you know, cut into the skin for the first time or it feels different. You need someone there to watch you, to help you, to jump in if something goes wrong, shows you how to do it correctly. So
absolutely, especially when we're talking about blood.
Yeah, for sure. Just
and sanitation.
Yeah, definitely. I feel even if you learn like one technique, like let's say you learn like powder brows, you already know how to use a machine and you know you have a good fundamental, then I've seen some people learn like online like lip blushing or online and that's an easy transition for them, even though it's a different part of the face, and there are specifics to where I would still recommend a fundamental in course training or like hands-on training, but it's still, you know, better to at least have something to start with rather than jumping straight to online classes. So yeah, if you're in the area, anywhere near Boise or just, you know, southern Idaho, eastern, if you're anywhere in like western Idaho, like southern western area, and you want to stop by Couture Brows, you know, you can book a tour or you can just pop in, look at our space. We'll show you the kids, kind of give you information. We also have a location in Salt Lake City. Sandy Jones is the owner out there, but we're still partnered together. Our brands reflect each other and also our classes do, so they're very similar in style and teachings. One nice thing is actually that if you're certified here or in Utah, you can actually do booth rental at either location. So Sandy has some girls that come from Salt Lake and that use our booth rental here, so we make it work. She also has a location in Las Vegas and Malibu. So if you like get certified here, but you have friends and family in Vegas, you're like, hey, there's a Couture Brows there. It's the same rules, the same sanitation regulations, and that's why we keep it like to our students, right? So because they've learned our rules, protocols, sanitation. We, you know, have everyone else come in. We don't really know what they know, so especially because it's not regulated. So yeah, we kind of keep it to our students, but we have that usage option for them in other states as well. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you so much being on the channel. This was such great information. It is an amazing field to check into if you like doing any kind of, I feel like you have to be a slight artist to do brows at least. Yeah, definitely. But everything else, you can take advanced classes from Couture Brows as well. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the fundamental trainings, even if you're not artistic, we're gonna make you artistic. Yes, right? Yeah, like if you can hold a pencil. Right. If you can't hold a pencil, then that might be hard. But everything else, I can show you how to move your pencil and how to work it. Yeah, exactly. It's all about like routine. Right? Yeah, definitely. And procedure. Well, I mean, I think it's just amazing. I love doing, it's so rewarding for me. I love doing the tattooing. So if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna drop everything in the description below. You'll be able to get a hold of Couture Brows. I am so excited that they were on here today. It is definitely something I love to add on to an aesthetics practice, is adding that microblading. If you are interested in it, it is a great service and extra income. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you can make good money. And I love that you offer the kit. She offers a kit. Not everybody offers a kit, which gets you started out in that field. You are set with success right away. Yeah, definitely. There's if you want to do it, you can do it for sure. Yeah. Yeah, everything's set up for you to succeed. It's just whether or not you want to commit to it. Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, press that like button, subscribe, and in the comments below, let me know what you want to learn about next.